Have you ever thought about using AI to promote your festival, your fair, your rodeo, to make things easier? Today, we're going to learn how. Stay tuned.
Welcome to Festival Soup, the podcast for festival, fair, and rodeo professionals. Join your host, Mike Baxter, a certified festival and event executive, as he brings you interviews from industry leaders, expert advice, and the latest updates from the world of fun-filled events. Whether you're working on a startup or managing an established, long-running event, Festival Soup has the ingredients for success.
Welcome to Festival Soup, folks. Today we're going to be talking AI, and our guest is David Ramirez of SDM Ramirez Event Marketing. How you doing, David?
I am great. How's it going, Mike?
It's going great. You know, we've talked before, you can't put AI into any single bucket. What do you have to say?
Yeah, I think it's a great place to start. So many people think AI, two big capital letters, and there are Baskin Robbins of different flavors. Some days you're feeling mint chocolate chips, some days it's Rocky Road, some days you just need plain vanilla. And knowing what's the right flavor and nuance and type of AI could be the difference between it working for you or not working for you, or you spending a whole lot of money, or you getting it maybe even for free.
Mm-hmm. So is there any starting point for our festival friends that, they might want to just kind of try the waters and test the waters and see how AI might help them?
Yeah, I think the best starting point is going to probably be ChatGPT. For so many people, just being able to talk to it, ask it questions the way that you would a normal person, I think makes it really easy. And you don't have to think too much about writing the right prompt, about asking the right questions. You can just say, hey, write me a poem about festival management, or tell me, what's the best way to start an event safety plan. Mm-hmm. And of course, from there, you can engineer the prompt and go a haul out further. But knowing that ChatGPT starts off for free and that you can just go sign up for an account right now and be up and running in a couple of minutes, it makes it a great entry point into playing with artificial intelligence.
Yeah, and the ChatGPT is a text basically oriented thing. And so I know I've used it to save time on, some of my blogs that I've worked with, and you can use it with press releases and that sort of thing. But then there's the others, like I use Chatbox, I guess it is, for some graphics. And can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, there's an AI at this point almost doing everything. And if there's not, then hang on for 6 or 7 months. And I think they're going to be coming down the line. And so there are a lot of visual tools for those that are using stuff like Canva. Canva already has an image generator, a template generator stuff built in that's built on top of AI. I'm using a tool called Midjourney that lets you spin up images really quickly. You can do cool stuff like upload, say your event's taking place on a tarmac or an empty field. You can upload a picture of that empty field and say, hey, where would I put the midway? Or where should I put this tent or that? And it has a tendency to do kind of P.T. Barnum style tents. And so just be aware the AI is not great. It loves a striped tent and a big top. But it's a great way to kind of kickstart imagining, starting from scratch and building from there. And there's dozens of them out there on the visual side.
Yeah, and one thing that we've talked about before too is that it doesn't work well necessarily with words in your graphics. It's a horrible speller.
Yeah, that's the best way to flag if something has ever been created by AI is if you see a picture and the words are a little bit weird, or it starts to give you kind of those Russian Cyrillic looking symbols, you're probably like, that was AI generated. That was not a person that put that thing together.
Yeah, I love the logo for Festival Soup, I just have to say. But the reason that I primarily went with that one is because it's the only one that came up with Festival Soup spelled correctly. And so I went with it. I was tired of messing with it. I actually even wrote in the prompt, can't you spell correctly? And it wrote back, it apologized to me for not being able to spell. And it was like you're talking to somebody. It was crazy.
Yeah, it can be really bizarre. At this point, I'm telling folks, just try to leave out the text as much as possible. And then that's where the human touch comes in,
Correct.
Go in, Photoshop in the text or write in what you need. There's a couple of newer tools that'll actually do like lorem ipsum and just do placeholder text. Mm-hmm. but it still looks a little bit weird. So
Yeah.
we're not quite there yet.
Yeah, one of the things that you and I had talked about at the workshop we did in at the Woodlands Arts Alliance, I guess, a few weeks ago, was that AI really is something you should consider to help you with the most tedious jobs you have. And it does. It saves so much time.
Yeah, I often get the question from friends and colleagues and clients, where do I even begin knowing that there's thousands of tools out there? And I think you just need a moment of introspection and just say, okay, what is the part of my job as an events professional, a festivals professional, a tourism professional that I absolutely hate to do? And hate is a strong word, but that just is a big time suck, is a big thing that you have to do every single year, that it's just part of your admin or upkeep. And AI is a great place to play with that. I was talking with a gentleman recently, he's a parade organizer. And what he was able to do was upload a list of all of his parade entries, upload a list of all the rules. And so the Rotarians don't play as nice with the Elks, and there has to be a marching band every fifth entry. There needs to be a big float every X number of entries. And the AI spat out a parade lineup that still required a little bit of zhizhing and correction, but would have taken him hours and hours. And Mike, I know you and I have both done that, sitting there with parade organizers with index cards or parade packets, kind of doing the shuffle around, like, does this work? No, let's switch it up a little bit more. So, that part of the organizing piece is not a lot of fun, but it's something that you can lean on a tool like AI to do.
Yeah. And what was the slogan that you talked about? It's not, AI is not going to take away your job.
Yeah, that's from Miss Wong, who's the president of NVIDIA. And she said that AI is not going to take your job. Someone using AI is going to take your job. And so I think that's the big thing for us to think about as professionals is it's not a matter of reducing headcount or getting rid of people. It's a matter of getting rid of inefficiencies or the tasks that are really time sucks, that don't allow us to really spend the time doing the great part about festivals and events, which is often the creative part. So get rid of the admin, put the admin on the AI, put the boring organizing, put the post-event survey analysis, on it, and then spend time doing the cool part, like finding new sponsors, finding new staff, building new events and concepts, placemaking, find space to really enjoy our industry.
Yeah. Someone who's never, ever been involved with AI. Is there a suggestion for you to seriously, to just kind of try it and see, so that they can get a feel for how much time this can save them and how creative it can be, with them then adding their personal touch to it so that it is theirs?
Yeah, I think one of the other great entry points is looking at the tools that you already have and then playing with the AI that's already within them. So I know many event organizations are using things like Constant Contact or MailChimp to send out their marketing emails. So next time when it's time to send an email, go in and use their AI writing tool and see how quickly you can spin up that newsletter that would have maybe taken you 2 or 3 hours. Or even in things like QuickBooks, if you're part of the finance team, try some of the built-in AI tools in QuickBooks Online that'll automatically go in and typify receipts and assign them to certain types of accounts. Again, it's all about finding the things that are just major time sucks, but that are so important to the work that we do.
Yeah. Share with everyone maybe some of the specific tasks that AI could help within a festival framework. I know I've got a list here of some things like helping, with improved planning of the event based on previous events and things like that, so that you do a better job of making a good presentation of yourself, your event, to the public in the following years.
Yeah, I think that's one of the great parts about festivals and events is so many of us have these legacy festivals, especially here in Texas, where you've had an event going on for 10, 20, 50, 75, 100 years in some circumstances. And so you can feed into the AI all of your successes, all of your failures, all the things that worked really well in certain circumstances, didn't work well in others, and then ask it to find trends, to find commonalities, and to spit out, and I say spit out, but, produce results that you can use to build for the next year. And so, we just recently did this with a client of mine out in Lubbock. We put all the information from post-event attendee surveys into the AI. We were using ChatGPT for this one. And we said, hey, analyze all these, look for commonalities, and then generate a 3-page report, because that was sort of the magic number that they needed. And it looked at all the different feedback. It asked for additional information in some circumstances, and we generated this big report. And so we're using that not just to build this year, but since so many of us are on multi-year planning cycles, really thinking, how do we improve it marginally for next year, but really take a big swing at this in year 2 or year 3 or year 5, where we have really the capacity to think about larger scale changes or planning.
Yeah, and a lot of festivals and events, they have on their website like the frequently asked questions page. But when you go in and you just read through it, that's what it is. Whereas the folks that are using AI, you can now go in and ask your question about the festival, and AI can basically answer, those questions for you. And then it relieves your, it gives your staff the opportunity to do other things that are, if not as important, equally important or more important.
Yeah, there was a great study by Gartner, which is a business research organization, and they said that by this year, 60% of all customer service interactions are going to be either online or through social media. And so knowing that 60% of your questions about what time do the gates open, who are the headliners, do you have deep fried ranch dressing, which is one of the weird foods in Minnesota State Fair that I did not get to try this year. What's on the menu, what's on the docket, what time can I go to the auction, or the bucking Broncos or the PCRI or whatever it might be. All that can be put into a chat bot and let people just have that conversation in the same way that would occupy an admin's time or your time. And then extending it even further into your social media channels, or even exploring spinning up a digital hotline where people can text their questions in, and maybe it's an AI that's texting back. That's actually a project we're working on right now that we haven't quite worked the kinks out yet, but I see a lot of great opportunities in just having a festival hotline that you can text questions into, and an AI sends you all those, often frequently asked questions like gate times.
Yeah. And, nowadays, security is so important to all of us. Be it street closures or whatever it happens to be. But, it's kind of trending now that with security, some of these festivals are using facial recognition and to try and weed out potential problems as people are coming, to the event. Security-wise, do you have any updates on that for us?
Yeah, there's a couple of great companies out there doing some really interesting things. I think one that I'm really intrigued by is a company called Zenus. It's like Venus, but with a Z. And they are working on AI with webcam enablement to do lost child detection. And I know for anyone who's ever had a Code Atom or some sort of lost child event at their festival, you close the gates, everyone's searching. Of course, the kid is just, the parents give bad instructions. The kid was wearing a red shirt. And it's like, okay, cool. Let's find a lost kid with a red shirt. But being able to take a picture and match it to where that child is in the festival footprint using webcams and artificial intelligence, I think is really going to be interesting. They're also using that same technology to look at traffic patterns. And so we could say, hey, the East Gate's really getting slammed right now based on all these counts coming through the cameras. So let's open up 3 more gates so that doesn't become a safety hazard. Or maybe no one's at this gate, or someone's trying to jump this fence, right? Like, it's that active monitoring that would take an army of people, but using a tool and a web camera like Zenus, it helps mitigate that a little bit.
Yeah, by knowing your visitor likes and how long they stay at an event and things like that, AI can help with your scheduling as well, and help you to optimize your scheduling of events, concerts, things like that.
Yeah, I think that's always one of the challenge. If you're a large enough organization that you are blessed to have some sort of data person or maybe a marketing or ops person that really is a whiz with Excel, you can find some of these micro trends that can help really design your entire festival. But instead of having to have that person on staff, we're starting to see tools pop up that could say, okay, one attendee persona is a family. They like to do this. They prefer stuff in this order. They show up around this time. They exit around this time. And these are all sort of the slate of things that they do. And so knowing that you can create sort of these persona mappings for all these different attendee types and then design content, design scheduling, design programming based on that makes us so much more efficient, and also helps guide things like knowing, where are we setting up food options? Are we changing our food options? What sort of talent are we booking? What sort of strolling or wandering performances are we putting into the show? Is there a better place to catch people for a survey? Are survey results more consistent if they're inside the gate or outside the gate? There's so many great possibilities to capture data and transform it into something meaningful, not stuff that just gets reported after that survey and so often goes into the circular bin,
Absolutely.
right after you read it once.
Yeah. Well, we're going to take a real quick break and be right back in just a minute.
Ready to elevate your event to the next level? Partner with certified festival and events executive Mike Baxter and Texas Festival and Tourism Consulting to transform your festival or fair into an unforgettable experience. With a track record of success at renowned events like the Midland County Fair, the Texas Blueberry Festival, the McAllen Holiday Parade, the Lubbock Arts Festival, the Texas Crab Festival, and the Great Texas Mosquito Festival, Mike brings unparalleled expertise to your event planning and execution. From event evaluation and development to strategic marketing, public relations, and award-winning photography, Mike is your go-to consultant for making your event shine. Don't miss out on the opportunity to work with one of the best in the business. Mike Baxter is former chairman and longtime member of the Texas Festivals and Events Association and a member of the Texas Association of Fairs and Events. Call or text Mike Baxter today at 281-222-4775 or email mike@txfestconsultant.com. Let's make your next event a standout success.
All right, we're back, and I'm here with David Ramirez, and we're talking AI. David, one thing that really has, I think is important is that AI can help you with vendor selection once you realize what it is that your guests like, so you can bring in more vendors that are, that want to appeal to your guests. I know a lot of the events I work, they have, I don't mean this in a negative way, I'm just saying, but like the Tupperwares and the Scentsies and things like that, when the folks aren't really there for that. They're there for more the artsy craftsy, type things, and AI can help you with that.
Absolutely. I think the term that we often talk about, that's a technical term in marketing technology and business technology, is what we call zero-party data. Right. So many festivals and events already have what is called first party data, which is your usual stuff like, hey, what's your name? What's your address? Where are you from? And then kind of broad strokes like, do you like to go, did you enjoy the rock concert? Did you enjoy the jalapeno eating contest? Zero party data really gets into the weeds and says, Mike, do you like spicy or sweet? Do you like salty or sour? What textures do you like for your t-shirts? Are you more of a canvas shirt type of guy? Do you like your safari shirts? What sort of hats do you like? Do you like them pre-fitted? Do you like them as snapbacks? And when you get into all those really minute and finite details, again, unless you had a data person on staff, there was nothing you could do with that. It'd be like, all right, cool, 50% of our people like spicy. But when you have a tool that can help you say, well, 50% of the people that spend most of their money on food like XYZ categories, then you can really go out and find food vendors that match that. Or to say people really want plushies or, dog toys or whatever it might be, right? Maybe 80% of your attendees have dogs, but you've never thought about launching a dog merch item. And so you can really think about how that guides the conversation operationally, vendor-wise, merchandise-wise, even setting ticket prices. Maybe you don't need to do that Sunday promo where your Sunday tickets are $10 cheaper. Maybe people will tolerate a higher price point, or maybe it only needs to be $1 or $2 lower, right? You can do experiments in the computer and not have to risk 1 year's worth of revenue, just seeing if your hunch works.
Yeah, the Melissa Road Tribute Festival that I'm working with, they are using that for the first time this year. And so it's going to give them all sorts of survey information about their guests, and not only just attendance by pinging their phones, I guess, but it's digging deep, and they're really excited about using that this year. So the post-event analysis, that's something that I've been preaching to people for years now, and really finding out what it is about your event that your visitors like or don't like, for that matter, so that you can make it a better event and hopefully draw more people in the following years.
Yeah, like I said earlier, so often we do these surveys, and if they're even looked at once, sometimes they're only looked at, a couple of times, or maybe a few people look at it, and then it goes into the sponsorship post-action report, and then that's the last you ever think of it or hear of it. But knowing that this can really dig deep into the data, right? It can dig deep into the qualitative piece, the quantitative piece. It can look at responses over time. And so maybe when the big jazz band is playing, all of a sudden your scores went down. Oh, well, maybe it's the jazz band that's the issue, not the festival, right? It could be something really nuanced like that. And we know that all it takes is a bad performance, or a line at the porta pots, or the corn dog selling out, right? That all of a sudden it's an awful event in the eyes of a consumer. And so
Sure.
being able to drill down a little bit more and look not just generally at trends, but at trends at the time a survey was captured, the method it was captured, and then again, that zero-party data, kind of those minute details that can do it. And then taking it a step further, not just looking at year-to-year information, but again, for these legacy events that have surveys that go back 5 years, 10 years plus, putting that in and looking at trends over time, and realizing that Texas and all states have major shifts happening. So maybe Red Earth Country is not the direction that you need to be programming that stage. Maybe now it's rockabilly, or a little bit more pop rock, or maybe it's, rap or jazz, or, things like that. So looking at those trends to be able to more intelligently grow your event, sustain your event, and make choices that make your event the preference.
Yeah. And it can also help you with your ticket sales. I was reading that you can look at previous data through AI and the data from other festivals and events, and help you plan your budget for predictions from AI of what ticket sales could be in your event that's upcoming.
Yeah, you can do speculative, or sorry, the word's escaping me, but you could predictive, excuse me, that was the word I was digging for. Predictive AI is, I think, one of the flavors that we don't talk a lot about. We talk a lot about conversational AI and generative AI. Generative AI would be your ChatGPTs, your Dollies, your Midjourneys. But I think predictive AI is sort of the dark horse that's really going to make waves in our industry, because that prediction, being able to say, okay, definitively, or as close to definitively, based on all the information, this is the ticket revenue we should expect, or this is the sponsorship revenue, and being able not just to build in your predictions at an operational level, but building in, like you said, neighboring events, event histories over the course of the year, weather information, right? Maybe if it's super hot or super cold, you can start putting those into predictive models. And even things like Red Hot Chili Peppers are performing down the street. Maybe that's going to affect it. Or maybe our headlining band, we picked up a great routing opportunity, and all of a sudden, they have 2 or 3 shows that are in near proximity. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? And being able to lean on a tool to make those decisions, not just, again, often relying on hunches or kind of basic opportunities for stuff.
So when we had the workshop in the Woodlands, you talked about a number of different platforms that folks could use for different applications. Could you tell us about some of that?
Yeah, if I'm kind of going through my laundry list of things that I love, again, ChatGPT, I think, is going to be the easiest place to kind of break into it. There's a lot of other tools that are pretty standard, so things like Gemini and Bard, Claude, that are your conversational tools. And so these are going to be like chatbots that you talk to, give information to, and they spit out stuff. Things that generate images, I said Midjourney is one of my favorites. OpenAI, which owns ChatGPT, also has one called Dolly, as in Salvador Dali, but spelled Dalle. And then Canva has its generative tools. And then again, looking and seeing what tools you already have and figuring out how to turn on the AI within them. Hootsuite, Sprout Social, Buffer, some of our favorite social posting tools out there have AI built in that you can turn on and play with. Constant Contact, MailChimp have AI turned on that you can play with. And a personal favorite, and Mike, I know you and I probably spend more time than we like to admit building surveys. I am a Typeform junkie. I love Typeform over SurveyMonkey. And with Typeform, you are 3 boxes away from generating a survey. You say what the survey is going to be, who the target survey recipient is, and then the types of questions you want to ask. And I just used it the other day to spin up a registration form and an entire feedback form in about 7 minutes for what would have normally taken me 30 or 45 minutes. Yeah. And so just, again, looking at what tools you already have, sometimes you don't need to find a new AI solution. It may already be in the stuff that you're paying for.
Yeah, the simplicity is going to be the main thing, because there are a lot of folks who are not using this yet because maybe they're intimidated by the thought. But once they get into it, and if it is a simple process, then that's going to be really good. I work with folks who either have not done guest surveys, they've thought about it, but they think that they don't have the manpower to do it and whatever, and this could open doors for them.
Absolutely. And I think about, what are the ways that we deploy them? Because so many places, think, a guest survey has to be people with clipboards or iPads outside the gate. And yes, it's great to do that. Yes, it's great, for folks that are not leaning on their local higher education institutions. I know that's always my back pocket, is to lean on a bunch of college students out there to ask people to do surveys. But, sending out a survey by text message, sending out a survey by email, pushing surveys hard by retargeted social media, and collecting the data that way, and then not just that, but making sure all the surveys speak to each other, right? I think that's the next part of the conversation, is not just what tools are you using, but how to make sure that all your tools talk to each other. Because it doesn't make sense for you to use this tool, but it doesn't talk to that one, and you still have to transfer the information in between. Next, and the conversation for IFEA, I'll be speaking at IFEA very soon, talking about building ecosystems of tools that talk and play with each other, because that's really where the efficiencies are going to be found, especially once you start getting into larger organizations.
Yeah. I know the workshop that I sat in on before, it was a 2-hour presentation, and we're packing a lot of information into, this short podcast. Is there anything else that you can think of that would be something that our viewers would be interested in knowing about or could use?
Yeah, I think, again, going back to finding the places that just our time sucks in your life. I was recently on a demo for some volunteer management software, and I won't say the name because I'm not ready to endorse them yet. I want to play with it a little bit more, but auto scheduling. And not just auto scheduling, but then going through a merchandising fulfillment company that connects to it to send your volunteers their t-shirts and credentials ahead of the festival. And so imagining never having to sit down and spend the 82 hours building a massive schedule and then ensuring that everyone has their shirts and credentials, right? All of that automatically taking place within a software platform. And so just be aware, a lot of these solutions are going to be incredibly expensive, but they're not going to be expensive forever. And I think that's always one of my closing thoughts when thinking about AI is it's $300,000 for XYZ tool right now, but next year it might just be $100,000. And then the year after that, maybe it's just 50 or 30. And so within 3 or 4 years, all of a sudden, these tools that were only available to Fortune 100s are now available for any small event, mom and pop event operations, Parks and Rec, or small municipality. And so don't just think, oh, it's not available now, we'll get to it eventually. Eventually, it's going to be here sooner than you expect. Start building your data, start doing good surveys, start getting that information together now so that you're not playing catch up in a year or two and all of a sudden you have the money or the ability to tap into this technology.
So it'll be less expensive and it'll be easier.
100%.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you being here with me today, David. This is David Ramirez with SDM Ramirez Event Marketing. And thanks again for being with us on Festival Soup.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me out.
Thank you, sir.
That's all for this episode of Festival Soup. We hope you enjoyed our tasty serving of festival insights and advice. If you liked what you heard, be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform and leave us a review. Your feedback helps us continue to bring you the best content in the industry. For more tips, trends, and updates, visit our website at www.festivalsoup.com. Thanks for tuning in, and remember, great ingredients make for a tasty festival soup. See you next week.